Our next session is going to be mobile device synchronizations. Let's get started with mobile device synchronization. Our ultimate goal here is to be able to describe the purpose and value of synchronizing data between mobile devices and desktops and laptops. Obviously, that's the reason why most of these other mobile devices that we've been covering so far have come along. As I stated, the Palm Pilot, which was obviously manually synchronizing with over a USB cable, and out came BlackBerry, who basically just buried it right under the table. Obviously, there has been now the iPhone and all these Android phones and the Nokia Windows phone that are able to do the same thing. We need to be able to identify the types of data that could synchronize and the two main synchronization methods that are being used. Describe the connection types available to enable synchronization. Name the steps to synchronize data in mobile devices. And obviously, as always, try to identify the common pitfalls with anything that we do, and in this case, synchronizing data in mobile devices to our laptops and or desktops. Any questions? Okay. Jordan, can you help us out with slide 4 here?
Overview. Smartphones and tablets can synchronize their sync with the local PCs or with cloud-based servers to keep files on data up to date. The benefits of synchronization include backup data, data availability in multiple devices at the same time. It's easy to set up a new device. You can download updates and patches. The process. Various mobile devices sync differently depending upon the device vendor and software required. All of them allowed to decide which data to sync on the settings from the email app or from the OS.
Thank you. So, anybody know what are the types of data to synchronize devices? What are the usual data that we sync on these devices?
I want to say basically almost everything, but if they had to pick, contacts, certain documents that you want to have always in sync, and definitely updates, backups, and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. There's a plethora of types of data to synchronize. Obviously, I'm pretty sure most of you are doing this and don't notice it, but your contacts. You log on to your Google phone with ease, any new Google phone, and or same thing, sorry, not Google phone, Android phone, because Google has their own phone now. And then same thing with iOS or the Windows one, you can basically do, as you stated, many things, including programs. So in any iOS device, the progress I have with the information, my emails, my pictures, music, videos, my calendar, what else? You got the bookmarks, right? If I have a bookmark, I can sync my Google so that I have all my bookmarks, my documents, as you alluded to earlier, location of certain data, if social media now, my Facebook, right? And or any other stuff that's going on, including my ebooks. Go into your books, right? Of your iPhone, they're in every product, except for the watch. I don't think you can read a book on a watch. I don't know about that one. But otherwise, you get my point. And what Lázaro was alluding to, pretty much anything can be synced nowadays compared to before. You had to wait to get it into your office to be able to do these things. And obviously, due to this, there has to be an increased sync security. There has to be that, because without mutual authentication, it is very, very dangerous. And it has to be activated in most of these devices, because if we don't have high security, it will obviously leak. Information will then get stolen. Some of these devices obviously have features installed, but not all of them, which rely on additional synchronizations from other applications. We have to be aware of when we need to install these applications. Because usually in these companies, they'll tell you what what they require and what type of software updates are required. So we may need to maintain these devices, make sure that the users have the latest and greatest. Obviously, there is now some servers that allow you to control all of these devices out in the field, which has been a great feature that allows IT or help desk or the telecom technicians reach out to these phones, even erase them and all that. So there's many ways, as I stated, to connect. We stated before, as in the old days, there's a USB. There was the connection to be able to get your sync going on. Then we went to Bluetooth, and now obviously we're in the wireless land. So there's a plethora of ways also of syncing. We'll continue now to slide 5. DeAndre.
Mutual authentication for multiple services. Definition. Mutual authentication is a process in which both the server verifies the credential of the client and the client also verifies the credential of the server. Purpose, adds additional security to the process. Details, both Android and iOS devices support this type of authentication, typically using SSL. One of the challenges presented to performing this type of authentication in mobile devices is their relative lack of processing power when compared with desktop and laptop systems.
Thank you. Any questions on this slide? Doubts? We understand what mutual authentication means then? Justin, can you explain to me in your words what it means to you? Mutual authentication?
Basically, both sides, the client and the server, authenticate each other.
Right? So in case if a man-in-the-middle attack happened and somebody's trying to act like if they are the server must authenticate to me because I know who what's your real ID. So if you come with another ID and try to replay this, I'm gonna catch you because there's obviously that mutual authentication requires you to authenticate back to me. Types of data synchronization. We have, as I stated a moment ago, your contacts, bookmarks, all these are your basic features that are out there. All of them can be turned on or off depending on your flavors and how you like. Obviously, remember, all this takes a payload on your phone or whatever your mobile unit is. Whatever mobile unit you're using, the more you sync, the more it's eating it up. Pablo, help me out with this slide, please.
We got types of data and synchronize. 1, contacts. Using push synchronization. Push means is automatic and requires no effort on the part of the user. You ensure that any changes made to the contact list, either on the mobile device or on the desktop, will be updated on the other device the next time you make the connection to the email account from the other device. It will also update if the mobile device makes a direct connection to the desktop. 2, the applications. Program data from applications such as databases can also be synchronized between servers and mobile devices. A good example is the synchronization of the data entered into handheld devices used by the wait staff in restaurants and the server in the back room of the restaurant. Number 3, bookmarks. Bookmarks of frequently visited websites makes everyone's day easier. And when the same ones are available in the browser of all your devices, including your mobile devices, it doubles the benefit. Bookmarks are another item that can be configured to sync automatically.
Thank you. Any questions on contacts, applications, and or bookmarks? So as we see,
For,
go ahead.
So for application, that would be a good example for software as a service, right? Or you don't, or you can have your own.
Yeah, you can have your own database. That all depends on
A private or non-private,
yeah,
right?
yeah. What they're
But
saying
that,
here is that there's synchronization through the actual application that's being used. So the application that they're using for the servers and for the cooks is the same application. While the cook has his screen that has the details of all the orders, the actual servers has their screen in the front where they're entering the actual orders with the details. So those two devices are synchronizing over over that database. So those are
well,
two
so it
mobile
doesn't
devices.
have to be a cloud. It can be a device just
It's a
connected and
it's a
talking.
mobile device, right? We agreed that the POS or any other device that they have a kiosk for these people, which are usually looking like now like an iPad. All these are a mobile device. Do we agree? So the kiosk where the server in you call any of these places, Texas to Brazil, for instance, that's a bad place. But anyways, even McDonald's, when they go to the screen and they're hitting that screen, that is a mobile device, that little pad that they have. Some of these have a very small pad that they could actually carry around. Have you ever seen those restaurants? So that goes out to the other screen and or ticketing system that's in the back. Sometimes they have a touch screen so that they can just say that they completed the meals, or they have a little printer back there that prints out the orders, depending on how you have the system. Either which way, in this case that they're talking about is that both of them have a screen. So when I enter the actual information on my mobile device, the guy that has the mobile device over there with ease can see all of the orders, and it syncs to the database that's in the back end, be in a cloud or on my premises, wherever the database is. Everyone understand what push synchronization means by contacts push synchronization versus pull? Anyone know what pull synchronization is?
No.
Wouldn't
Is
wait.
that
What?
Who?
would that be manual synchronization?
Pull synchronization means that I push the button and I say, hey, you, give me what I want. Versus push, as soon as it goes out there and the server is well aware of the information, it automatically pushes it to all of the units. You might see this in your Apple products. You do this. For instance, if you log on to several Apple products and you have chosen that you wanted to install applications that you have installed on any other unit. So then you went to your phone and you downloaded YouTube, lack of a better name here. All of a sudden, by the time you get home on your Mac, on your iPad, on your little iPod Touch, YouTube has been already downloaded. It was pushed.
That would be
You
okay.
initially pulled it down to that first unit. You pulled it down. You asked for it. All the other units received a push synchronization from the iCloud server with the information. In this case, on number one, they're talking about contacts, where if I update my phone with my contacts information, I put in Jordan's email information on my iPhone, likewise on my Mac and on my all of my products, the contacts will be automatically pushed. I don't have to ask for it. As soon as I open my iPad, I will have Jordan's email or phone number, whatever I put in there is there, without me intervening. Make sense? Push versus pull. Yes?
Pull
No?
is a little Push is easier to understand than pull, but I do get it.
Pull means you're manually pulling down the information. You just always think about it. If I pull, I'm pulling down. So I'm pulling down manually the information. If it's pushed to me, the server's
Coming from another.
I'm trying to catch this here. It's getting pushed to me, right? The only way I can tell you. Just remember that. As soon as you can remember that, push is getting thrown at me. It's getting pushed from the server directly to the device. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's nothing that I am doing. It is getting pushed to me. I've got the unit automatically receives the information. It has to receive the information. It doesn't have to download or receive. Questions, doubts on push versus pull, contacts, applications, and or bookmarks. All right. Cool. Next slide, Pablo.
So we got, let's see where we are. Email number 4, the mobile device will synchronize the contacts, calendar items, and the email each time the mobile device makes contact with the email account. This results in a consistent state between what is seen on the desktop and what is seen on the mobile device. Push synchronization will usually allow you to configure the push schedule, such as every 30 minutes. To preserve battery life, push sync should take place less frequently. Pictures. Pictures are another item that users frequently want to view from their mobile device without going through the process of manually downloading them to the device. Synchronization allows the pictures stored on the desktop or even a share or a server to be available on the mobile device. Documents. Technology to sync documents located in multiple locations have been around for some time now. Users have to come to expect this functionality, and it's present in modern mobile devices as well. Users want to be able to work anywhere on any device, and this facility facilitates that.
Thank you. Any questions, doubts, email, pictures, or documents? Y'all can't say anything. I want to put on some PJs finally. I forgot again. What do you want from me, man? So, there's no questions, there's no doubts. Everybody feels warm and cozy about these 3. Next one. Carlos.
Music files can also be included in the sync process. This helps to keep your library available on the mobile device. These large files can quickly add up and fill the hard drive and also add significantly to your data usage if the sync is happening over a wireless cell phone connection using a data plan. Videos. Video libraries can be consistent across devices using synchronization. Be aware of the effect of these large files on your drive space, battery level, and data usage if you are syncing wirelessly through a cell phone network. Calendar. The calendar is a critical application for both work and play. All mobile devices support syncing the calendar between devices. In some cases, it may require a small application, especially especially when the email system of which the calendar is part of is in a different ecosystem. For example, Google Mail and an iPhone.
Thank you. Any questions on the music, videos, or calendar? And look who's with me. Anybody know his name? I know you guys never seen him before.
R2, I think. Right. Wait, am I wrong? Oh,
yeah, it is R2D2. Yeah.
All right.
Just teasing you guys. Any more Disney things that we have for today? Yeah, I got plenty of Disney characters. I was expecting to see either Belle or Moana or somebody today, but you know, nothing.
For the PJs?
Yeah. Slide 10. Let's go with, who haven't I tortured yet? I think I tortured everybody today, no? Teresa. Slide 10.
I think she's having internet problems.
No, she's there.
There's too many people on it. Yeah, for some reason the slide isn't coming up. My internet's not connecting. Wait 1 minute. I'll just read it from there. Okay. I'll read it from the thing. Types of data to synchronize. Location data. In some cases, users may decide to allow an application to track their location for the purpose of tailoring search results. When this is done, it can be a one-time thing, or the users can give the application ongoing permission to do so. Most device browsers will indicate this with some sort of icon or indicator on that page. Social media data. While social media was once a guilty distraction, today even businesses and organizations use social media. When users have multiple accounts, many mobile platforms such as Google and Apple offer applications that can allow them to track and post to multiple accounts at once, reducing the time required to check and update the accounts. Ebooks. Many users have accounts that give them access to books in digital format or ebooks. Naturally, they want to have an access to these books on all their devices. Not only can this be done, but the sync process can keep their various devices up to date with the latest position of a bookmark in the book or of new items that have been highlighted or notes that have been made.
Thank you. So location data, that's the one that I always like to ponder. You'd be surprised how many people leave these things on. And one, it eats up the battery. Two, what's cute is that at one point Google sends you a nice little report saying, hey, by the way, you've been here, 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 here. So they're tracking you the whole time, your location, and then they ask you questions like if you like to respond to the restaurant, or the same thing with iOS. Be careful when you have these little location things turned on. Also, Google has been caught. I'm not sure if you know that any unit that has an Android, basically, if you have your location services on, they're using your phone to create the data for the traffic jams. That's how some guy went and basically blasted Google with false information and created his own traffic jam, mimicking like if a whole bunch of phones were stuck in one given location. As for the social media data, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with, and your ebooks. Any questions or doubts on these? So what is an example of one way to synchronize your data? Can somebody tell me?
Connected to your computer or laptop or any type of larger device.
You do it through the cloud.
Yeah. You do it through the cloud or through the business servers, depending on what it is that we're trying to sync to, right? There's also a variance of the type of ways that I can do my synchronizations, right? Why would clients want to synchronize? What information did we cover that they want to synchronize? What information? Why would they want to sync information on their mobile units?
Give up space.
Contacts, emails,
Exactly.
documents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as long as we're fully aware of why the want is there, right? And the need. We need to be fully aware and how it's getting done too, and how these things get configured. Technology no longer is just a computer on their desk. As help desk and or depending what tree we want to go up, at one point, even in telecom, you have to be very proficient when it comes to phones, mobile phones and physical phones, the ones that you actually have to program on the PBXs. So what would be the difference between synchronizing externally and locally?
Locally, you have to be close to the device that you're syncing to. External, you can do it through a cloud or cellular network.
Yeah. So like the what was it that I said? The Palm Pilot, right? That used to be a local sync versus now a lot of these have the sync. Not that like the Google phone, you can't sync it with a USB. You can, right? You can sync the same thing with your iPad to your computer via the firewire. I mean, via the Thunderbolt, right? Right. Questions or doubts so far up to this point before we move on? Sure. All right. So can somebody tell me this? I'll give you this scenario. Imagine you're an IT professional at a large company. Client's asking you to sync her personal email to her company phone, but this is against company policy. She's extremely frustrated with you. How would you respond to her while still providing high quality customer service?
I will let her know about the company policy and still deny her.
Okay, and what happens if she just keeps on screaming and yelling? What else can we do?
You can elevate it to the manager.
And so if
Let them.
we're not going to scream at her, we're just going to patiently try to continuously, like you said, divert her to the right response, right? Explain to them, obviously, that this company's security is in concern. Acknowledge, obviously, that unfortunately, she's going to have to carry two phones. If she wants to see her own personal email, she needs to do that on her personal phone, right? We got to give her a solution. So although she's frustrated, we could explain to her that obviously she has a personal phone. She can sync her email there, her personal email. She's allowed to carry that in the premises. But if she continues, yes, I would definitely obviously escalate it because we can't circumvent the system, right? When we do that, we wind up ourselves getting fired at one point just for obviously trying to make the customer happy. The customer is always right. Just got to direct them to the right answer, right? Nah, all kidding aside. Let's go on to the next section here. Synchronization methods. As we stated, there's local and there's external, right? So in the iOS, they have their proprietary cable here, which they have that little funky guy here, or the lightning, right? They also have on the Androids, the micro USBs and the new, is that C, if I recall, the one that's like a rectangle, but it's like round edges. Was that C? No, not C. Mini C? Anybody remember the name? Somebody.
No, it's C.
Huh?
It's
Micro
C.
C? It's micro C, right? Or something like that?
No, it's type C.
Type C. Okay, thank you. We know it has a C. Yes. Any questions? Doubts? The local versus external. Good, very good. Slide 12. Here we are, the requirements. Obviously, the applications for the desktop require OS and disk space. You have Mac, Windows, usually are the ones that you use with this. Not very sure if Linux allows synchronization with units like that. I'm not sure if you guys are fully aware of that or not. You can do the same thing. I think so, right? Can't you install whatever the, what's that called? The Bonjour service or whatever it is from Apple on a Linux? You have one, right, Lazaro? Can you, I can't hear you. You're muted somehow. Not sure how. Your mic must be muted physically.
Is it working now?
Very good, Fandango.
Sorry, I have a physical switch. Yeah, I do have ways to sync. I'm not sure if it can communicate with other providers unless I go in like the browser, for example.
Mhm.
but
I know you
I
can
think it's
install the
possible.
iOS, whatever it is, iTunes, to sync and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure on the
Yeah,
Linux.
yeah.
I've never tried a Windows phone or an Android on a Linux, but I know I've tried the iTunes, I believe, can be installed. Not 100%
I
sure,
think
but
it's the other way around where Apple just doesn't work with anything with Linux.
no. It's the other
Yeah,
way.
like there's a lot of stuff similar, but it does not it's not very well compatible. You have to have the Linux, and then Linux can go up to Apple.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On the Linux, you can install iTunes, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate Apple doesn't play very nice with Linux.
No.
No.
Apple
Well,
actually
Apple
doesn't.
doesn't play nice with anybody.
It doesn't play nice with anybody, because you'll see that when you get the virtual machines, it's pretty difficult to create a virtual machine that's an Apple. Pretty difficult. The process is, I've yet to get it mastered myself. It's annoying. I tried. You have to have like a Mac OS, which gives you some certain type of thing that allows you to recreate it. I just haven't dedicated time. Anyways, any questions on the variances of synchronization types requirements? We have obviously, as always, each one, the iOS, Android, Windows Phone has their own methods of doing the things. The key ones here for all of them is your requirements of the actual operating system, memory, and storage space. Doubts? To the cloud, I'm pretty sure everybody understands. That's not a problem at all. Everything's up on the cloud and everything gets stored up there. And if you run out of space, they let you buy more. Either that or you start deleting, right? iOS synchronization, slide 13, we have the Apple devices, which we know is locally through iTunes, on the cloud through iCloud. If we do it locally, we connect the cable with the iTunes. It allows us to basically sync everything that's on that device to the iTunes on our computer. We could also do a full backup the actual device. So if I want to create a full exact replica of that state, if I do that backup to the computer and something happens when I'm maybe installing a new iOS or messing with the actual device, I can with ease just connect it to iTunes and just bang it out from that point. It'll be exactly from that point restoring it. Any questions, doubts? Slide 14. Local synchronizations with iTunes, as we know, is opening iTunes itself. You connect the USB cable or lightning cable, whatever it is that you may have, the proprietary cable versus the lightning cable. You should see the device itself here, and it gives you the options for synchronizing. You'll be able to select what you want to back up or not. If you want to do a full backup, you could also sync from your computer to the device. So if I have certain applications or stuff that's stored here, I can actually sync it up. Music, this was originally what it was used for, right? I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with this. The ones that were using the little iPod Nanos, or whatever it was, or those little shuffles, you needed to sync it through here, right? To be able to download all your music from your computer onto the actual device. Lastly here, you have the iOS Icloud synchronization. As we know, that's pretty much going in there into the iCloud settings, storage and backup, and you choose exactly what you want. You could actually merge it or not merge it to existing. And as I stated before, you can purchase more space. So if you run out of space, you can actually, I think it's 15 or 5 gigs. I think it's 5 gigs, and Google gives you 15. I don't remember the space, but you only get so much for free on the iCloud. iTunes, you can sync all you want, right? Why is it that I can sync all I want through iTunes, but I can't sync all I want through iCloud? Can somebody explain that to me?
It
Because
could
it
be that
saves it locally on iTunes, and then the cloud saves in the cloud.
Exactly. Exactly what's going on. iTunes saves it directly to your hard drive on the computer that you have the software installed when you do the sync. Questions or doubts before we proceed? Okay. Android synchronization. You can help me out here with this slide, please.
Android synchronization. Android-based mobile devices don't have a central desktop application similar to iTunes for Apple. Rather, they sync over internet, but only some data sync. Contacts, calendars, and emails through Gmail are the only data that sync by default. For every other type of data or media, Android device is treated like a thumb drive. Third-party apps like Double Twist and Dashlane act like iTunes for Apple.
Thank you. Any questions or doubts? Windows Phone synchronization. So as we see here, pretty much all of them have their own little proprietary little GUI. After Windows 8, you can obviously sync the content. Windows 7, though, requires Zoom to be able to accomplish this. Windows Cloud Service is called OneDrive. Otherwise, the new Windows phones and the new OSs allow you to sync the contact with one another with ease without requiring the Zoom. Same thing here. This would be local versus the cloud would be external. Any questions, doubts? Pretty sure everybody's used OneDrive before. What's awesome about OneDrive is that it doesn't matter what device you have, right? Because even if it's not a Windows phone, I can still access my OneDrive information on any unit out there. Just like Google Drive, right? It's the same thing. I can link. It doesn't matter. It's not just limited to Google Android phones. Next slide. Synchronization issues and pitfalls. Daniel, can you help me out here?
Synchronization issues and pitfalls. Incomplete sync. The most common synchronization issue is incomplete sync of data due to connectivity issues, device issues, or even remote infrastructure issues. Sometimes synchronization issues can cause an incomplete downloading of email or even duplicate email. Solution. The most likely culprit is connectivity issues with Wi-Fi or cellular connections. The problem is usually resolved by moving the device to an area with stronger signal. Other problems: authentication issues, OS version issues, incorrect configuration settings, and different providers of the same service could conflict when synchronizing.
Okay, thank you. So who could tell me which type of devices might use an app like Double Twist to sync their data?
Galaxy. Samsung Galaxy.
An Android, right? Okay. All right. That's we need to know those things when it comes to syncing, because let's say if the user is used to using an Android device, gets migrated to an iOS device, and then they're trying to use something that obviously is not meant to be used inside those. So that might be an issue that they're having, right? Any questions or doubts? So what would I use for synchronizing a iOS device then? Locally.
iTunes.
I want to go externally.
Externally, iCloud.
All right. Next person, if I want to locally synchronize an Android device, DeAndre, you told me I can use what?
You said an Android device? Would it be like, was it double twist?
That's right.
And
There was one more.
Dashlane. I think Dashlane.
Dashlane, yeah, that's his name. I know it was Dash something, but I don't remember his name. Okay. Any questions or doubts so far? I'll make sure we're all. And what would I use for mobile phones then? That are Windows mobile phones. What application would I use depending on the obviously the operating system that I have on my computer? What are the two applications I can use?
OneDrive and Zoom.
Yeah, depending on the version of my OS. When would I use Zoom?
Windows 7.
And lower. Well, Windows 7 actually. I don't think in lower would work, but Windows 7. And anything Windows 8 and above should be able to sync with the new Windows phones. Questions or doubts? All right, let's move on to slide 20. We see here there is a plethora of devices on what way we can sync. We could actually sync also through Bluetooth to some of these devices that we have there, for instance, in your hands-free for cars. And some of them required, obviously, the proprietary cable to go into your actual car unit and for that mobile unit to be able to then sync with your car. We all agree that all these new radios that are out there are technically mobile units. It's got GPS. Some of them have GPS inside of it, and or they're able to sync with your phone and bring all the features to the screen. Any questions or doubts? So, as we all know, synchronization moves increasingly more and more to the clouds. The apps that the clients will be using is going to change from what's now to most likely newer and better ways, be for security or whatever it is. How can we keep up with the latest trends in development in this industry? What things can we do to try to keep up with the latest trends?
Look at news related to new tech.
Look at different forums, social media.
Manufacturer sites.
We should also have a network of friends, networking friends. I think you guys remember when K Force came in here, he mentioned about networking, and especially your colleagues and within work, your co-workers. Make sure you guys are always talking. You'll notice that it's not that we try to show off. We just like to talk about it so that we all can keep up with the latest trends. That's a must in our field. We're never going to stop learning. I have yet stopped learning. And as I stated, I started around 87, messing up my mom's computer, which was a Packard Bell, which landed me then a job in Packard Bell fixing. They said, hey, you might as well start working here. Your mom's come here not often enough. So, nah, I'm kidding aside. But either which way, we want to keep up to date, right? So how will you be able to separate fads from high quality apps that are going to be truly relevant for your actual users for long term? What things can we do? Now we're saying we're keeping up with the the trends and everything, and then there's always some fad where somebody's going to come up with some app to install or something to do. What can we do to be able to really justify the fad from the fiction? Because usually sometimes these fads are viruses or hoaxes or just a waste of time, because sometimes they just have so much payload of ads and stuff. So what can we do to make sure that these apps are legit or even worth it?
I guess research and then understanding the establishment of that so-called technology. Like, hey, how is it useful?
Yeah. Before we go crazy doing anything, we need to learn about the companies that are making these apps, obviously, as you just said, right? We need to be able to distinguish between the high performing apps and just the ones that are just making it to the news and are going to disappear right after that. There's no support structure. There's nothing. They're just going to out for the big bang. They're going to charge you 99 cents. So guess what? They can get a million suckers. They just made themselves $1 million and they're out. So we got to make sure that whenever we're listening to these people doing things and whatever's coming out, that we are keeping up to the trends and make sure which companies are actually legit and are beneficial. Obviously, we're talking about work environment. What you do in your own time with your own phone is up to you. But as for work environment, we should obviously be able to determine which ones are the high quality apps that are going to be beneficial to our clients or to our users to be able to use. How can I keep up to date on this type of information about the apps and trends to help me further my career? How can it be beneficial for me in my career, keeping up to date on this type of information?
How could it help you?
Yes. How can it help me as an individual in IT, keeping up to date on this type of information about the apps, the trends? Instead of calling things shell, I got to learn call them case instead of saying cool or ealing and chilling. I need to know whatever you guys say nowadays. I don't know what you guys say.
It just helps you stay
It
current.
can always
and
be
up
like
to
a
date.
group.
Foshigi.
Yeah, you know, obviously, as you guys are alluding to it, keeping up to date to the trends in the industry is a must, because one, is going to show your supervisor and or management that you're serious and you can recognize what's coming out and you're keeping yourself up to date to be able to advance in your career. As we said, we need to continue to learn and progress. If we stay stagnant, then we're going to stay exactly where we are. We're just going to get trained as we go. Those are the people then that just only have a job and all they care about, okay, this is a new laptop. All right, what do I have to do? Versus Pablo, he saw the laptop. Oh yeah, this laptop has this, and I could do this. Versus the guy that's asking, what is it that this computer has? Who would I want as a specialist? Would I pick Billy, who is asking me all the questions, or am I going to pick Carlos, who obviously knows exactly what's inside a Dell Inspiron 15, 5000 series, because that was the latest one that just came out. We have to obviously keep ourselves with that growth mindset, right? And the creative mindset, make sure that we are willing to learn and to keep up with the trends. If not, we're going to stay exactly where we are now and just learn what we have learned up to this point. And as we learn, not using it, you lose it. Because all of you forgot who was 993, who's 995, who's 587. Pretty sure you guys lost it already. Who's 993? TCP 993. Anybody remember? 995.
IMAP.
All right. Yeah. IMAP. That's 993. And then 995 is what?
POP3.
POP3. And if you notice, 993 is lower than 995. Play that little trick again. The only ones that are up there is either IMAP or POP. Which letter is first? I. I is first before P. Therefore, 993 must be IMAP. And POP3 on TLS SSL, whichever one you want to, flavor you want to throw it on, is on the 995. Same thing again with the TLS versus SSL. SSL is the one on the 400 and 587 is the TLS on SMTP. Any questions or doubts on this journey of synchronization? Are we sure? 100% sure? No doubts. So who can tell me What are the types of data for synchronization?
Music, contacts, videos, email, bank account information or some bank info,
Photos,
location, social media, pretty much anything
ebooks.
you can do, any data for the most part.
What are the what are the appropriate methods for syncing data? Type of methods. Let's say for
External.
email. For email, what are the methods I can do it for email? Ways that I can do it.
Well, like push or pull.
Yeah. Push versus pull. There's also what are the protocols that we use in there
Was it SS?
for receiving? What's the two protocols we use for receiving?
IMAP and POP3.
IMAP 4 and POP3. 4 must be at the back because there is a such thing as IMAP, and we're using right now IMAP 4. Let's see. And for sending?
SMTP.
Right. And which one's the one that that Microsoft uses for that has its own proprietary server? Not the cloud one. Exchange, right? Microsoft Exchange server. Any doubts? You guys feel comfortable before we end this session here?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
In the where it said the local, where it says either physical or wireless, what are the other wireless? Like Bluetooth is one?
The wireless synchronization of data, there's Bluetooth, right? There's matter of fact, your card does it via Bluetooth, doesn't it? If it contacts, when it syncs your contacts, you don't have to connect it with a cable. You just it makes calls and everything for you. Now, if you want the extra features, some of them like the Apple CarPlay or whatever it is in the Google Play requires sometimes a USB to be connected, right? But there's a lot of them that will allow you with a Bluetooth to actually do it.
But besides Bluetooth, is there another one?
Wi-Fi?
No, but that's the external one.
Yeah, we're talking about external, right?
No, I'm talking about local. Because it says physical or wireless in the local one. So that's why I was asking.
Correct. Bluetooth, I don't think there's NFC. I don't think so. The cars yet or any device syncs with NFC? I don't think so. I think it's all either Bluetooth.
Only for charging.
The charger, yes. I've seen the little NFC for charging. Any other questions? Cool. All right,
Yeah, would you mind explaining the pull method again?
The pull method is when you configure it to download the information at a certain time interval. So every 30 minutes, it will basically pull down the information from the server. Versus push will automatically, the moment that the information is on the cloud, it will push it down to all of the mobile units that have it configured. So if you have the email configured on your laptop, on your iPad, your iPhone, and on your laptop, let's say you send an email out, right? When you send the email out, it actually not only sends it to whoever you wanted to send it, but it sends a replica of that email to all of your iCloud syncing devices, so that if you look for the email that you have sent out, it will be in that device. The same thing. If you receive the email response from that person, all three of them will receive the exact email automatically without you having to request for the information. That's when you push it. Versus pull requires then a manual synchronization of you telling it, a time interval of, and there's a way obviously inside Outlook itself where you can manually hit the button and hit send and receive, right? And the same thing on some of the phones, you could actually like scroll down and it says refresh. In other words, to resync, and you can manually sync.
Okay, thank you.
But if you're pulling down, that means you're manually pulling the information. Versus push, you're automatically getting it. Like it or not, you're getting it. Any questions? Other questions? Good questions. All right. This pretty much ends our session for